Hey guys, I was just showing you, just in case I didn't get close enough for you yesterday. This wire was worse here, but it was the same kind of thing. This is rubbed the whole way down through the copper. And sometimes, I mean, like this one, the green one, it's not the whole way through, but you could see that the breather hose was just, rubbing it until it was the whole way down. And I use, because these wires are pretty tight, I use these butt connectors, but whenever you have them at close, you want to make sure that you don't put the metal on metal. So if I put another one in here, I'll make sure it's down here when I wrap at, so these two won't be touching each other. Because I just think, whenever you got the crimped edge, even though it's nice and round from the shrink wrap, it's still, that's a big piece of metal. Keep it away. But out of curiosity, I didn't see which color wire was which, but these two, they weren't touching each other, but they were rubbed open and something like that side by side. And sometimes if you listen, he always said it seemed like after a heavy rainstorm when he went through a puddle. So that's a possibility. I mean, you've seen stranger things happen, but I'm going to put another one in there and wrap that back up. And what it did look like, I just looked at the wire colors on the back of the throttle body, and it's not them two. It looks like those ones are the wrapped up ones there. Not the wrapped up, but the ones in their own cluster. But what it looked like with the snorkel on, like how it looked like the plug was melted, that's actually electrical tape. So it looks like somebody was trying to hold that plug in there to keep water out of it in the past. But if it's just a broken clip or something, maybe get a pigtail too. But Rock Auto has all kind of little things like that whenever you're looking for a little bit of this and a little bit of that. All right, I'm gonna get that taped up, but it's like I never want to say something like, wood throwing water on M2 grounded out and throwing limp mode. Who knows? Possible. Anything's possible. But it's right here. It's getting smoke tested. It's ice cold. Even though I've done this before, I'm going to do it again because last time it was the intake gasket. It was coming out of the intake gasket, and then I smoke tested it after, and then there was I couldn't find any. But I want to make sure I could take a better look because I'm not sure if I had the snorkel the whole way off, but I got a pretty good view in here up along the inside. So I'm going to get it set up, get that taped up first, and get it set up and get pump some smoke in it. All right, guys, I shall return. I have all different kind of wire strippers. I mean, everything seems to have a place for itself, but I ain't doing something like this underneath here. And what I'm using is just the red. These have the glue inside them and the heat shrink. And what I usually do on something like that, where I'm not taking nothing out, just fixing the damage. It's just so fast with these. If you have them set right, you could get them in there both ways. They do a pretty good job. This makes a pretty fast repair. I prefer soldering, but this has a lot of support, and then these are pretty good connectors, and you always want to make sure you don't put the one with the tooth. I always use the one that's on the inside, and that way it doesn't push a hole straight through that insulation. You're kind of defeating the waterproof. Don't want to get in and give it a little bit of twist. Doing it from the side, it gets it a little bit hard, but when it's the whole way in, you squeeze it. That was my knuckle, not the toe. No, it sucks, but you could see if you would have used the other one, it would have put this spike Those are okay for inside, or if you're crimping your stereo or something like that, but even in the car, I wouldn't use that in case of shorting on the stereo. And soldering's hard when you don't have a lot of room like this for slack. And if it was like a single wire, I mean, the solder might make it stronger, but we have a whole harness to tape this to like that, so they're far away from each other. There's plenty of support, so I got full faith in these things. I mean, but like I said, you know, if I could, I'd rather solder something, but these for repair like this, they're fine. I'm happy with them. Okay, I've got harness tape back up. What I always do is I leave a little bit of electrical tape from the first pass with the tape inside the harness socket, wrap it up with the electrical tape, and that keeps the water from getting in. Then I go with another wrap of friction tape, but I always leave a little bit of the electrical tape coming out, just so anybody that goes to getting this harness, because if I see only friction tape, like somebody made a repair, I take it off immediately because water does go straight through that. So I leave a little out, so maybe save the next guy if he's questioning this harness, you know, at least he's going to see you got tape on it and you have friction tape, not just friction tape. But actually, I hope to actually have the smoke machine hooked up to it, but as I follow this harness back, I don't see no wires yet, but let's see if you could get a, maybe I just don't like the way after seeing a rubber hose go through two wires like that. I mean, right where that sensor's riding. See, it's going right into the harness. I can't see no metal or nothing, but as you're following the harness back, you have to pay attention and stuff like that, because anything that you say, maybe not, and you skimp on, that's going to be what comes back and bites you. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of that off and see if I see any bare wires, and you go on from there. But hopefully going to get to smoking this thing pretty soon. All right, guys, going to smoke us a moped. Just a hot dog tank. I don't fire up the big one unless I really need more air, and that works fine. And this is a turbo boost smoke machine. It's works pretty good. I mean, it's good for eval and let you go, even a little bit higher. The can will handle a little bit more pressure. That's, if I remember right, last time I had a little leak somewhere on it, but I was going to get just a pump, a 12-volt pump. It'll run off the battery, so I could hook it all up at once, make it a little bit more portable. But for right now, I'm letting it build a little heat once I start seeing some smoke coming out. And what I did is I sandwich baggied the throttle, and then we're going in. Last time somebody mentioned try the PCV, block off the PCV and go through that hose. The last time I went through the power booster, and hey, that's a good idea. Just give me, I think we're going back to the same places, but the last time, technically, I guess I wouldn't have smoke tested the power booster going that way. If I didn't use a T, I just went straight in the hose. So, I mean, if that power booster starts smoking, that would be something. That would be a large leak. But I'm going to go straight in the PCV hose. They give you a nice fitting. It'll go the whole way in there, and we'll see if we get any smoke. I'm going to get another light up, because the more light, the better, and try to see her. And I got a good view from the side down in here too. I'm going to take a good look in there. All right, guys, I'll be back as soon as we see some steam. Okay, it seemed to be starting to come out. Pretty nice stream. Enough to see anyways. I like getting at least a nice little stream going, because if you give it too much, you really blow that liquid through there. But as it heats up, it'll blow even more. But I like making sure it's not spattering, because one thing, if you have it up I'm not even on a half a PSI yet. And the adapters they sent, I love them. I mean, we're going to just leave it go in there for a minute like that. I'm developing a little drip around the connector, but you can see I'm not even on 1 PSI. We're blowing a lot of good smoke. Kind of let it clear a little bit. There's our bag down there is filling up with smoke. Definitely got a little leak coming out around the baggie. There's not much pressure in there to be. Seeing a lot of smoke, but it's coming out of that. Does it come out of that bag? You might have to find a way of sealing the throttle a little bit better. So I wanted to look it through here really good, but with that smoke coming off the throttle body. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. That's along the inside of the intake. The smoke's still coming out of that throttle body. I was more interested in deep in there like that. Seeing some smoke back here. Sure looks like there's smoke coming off this vacuum line. I don't know if you guys could see that. It was when it just been dust that was kicking up, but see, there we go. It's a little bit easier to see there. You see right by the light the smoke coming through that braided sheath. It's like checking around from every angle that I can. I got to invest in a heavier set of covers for the going over. Yeah, biggest vacuum leaks coming out of the machine right there, biggest smoke leak. Definitely got to get a gasket for that. I think they sent me a couple with it, but that just adds to the joy. Smell burning baby oil. It's Erin. She could even tell when my clothes go in I was smoking something. Automotive, anyways. See, this is coming from the top. I do have one of them bladders, but I don't think the throttle body will let me get it in there to plug it up. You can see underneath the baggie it's a rolling gut. What I'd be more interested in is, like, is it rolling gut down there? It appears to be just rolling off the bag. I'm going to get on a creeper and take a look under it real quick, but I want to get your light down. See the smoke back there from the throttle body, but I don't see nothing coming out of the intake. We're going the other way. So. See that wire, you can still see some wisps. Very faint, and it's definitely coming out of there a little. Will I throw you in the limp mode? I don't know, but okay, let me get under it and take a peek up. Here from underneath, I don't know if you could see that, but the corner of this bolt, that's not coming from past the sandwich bag. It's coming out of like the faceplate gasket right here. Maybe I'm running out of smoke, but up there, that could be baggy residue from the top, but you can kind of see the way it's wisping out of that one bolt some. That's coming up there, that's getting past the baggy. See the wisps in there. I expected to find a lot more. But see the way it's spiraling great off the top of that one. The baggy's up here, it's up further. That's coming from in between the throttle body and the intake. So make sure I'm not missing anything coming out of that where the intake meets the head. Check this pipe going the whole way up. That's where we're coming in. That's where I'm seeing some coming out of the back of this. Is that coming from the front? Yes. I have to check this valve out a little bit. I think that's all smoke coming across, but just want to make sure no crack in that. These vacuum lines here are holding. All right. One more look up top and then go from there. Here's where I was talking from underneath. Some little wisps of smoke. That's not coming from. It's coming from the base. Let me see if I can see right there. Oh guys, I didn't like that leak coming out of the throttle body. I did bladders, but the butterfly's too close to the end. It keeps pushing it out, so I'm gonna just put the breather tube onto the air box and then put this into the tube and plug it, and it'll give me a little bit better look there, see if there's a pinhole in there too. But it's, could swear I seen it coming out of the corner of the where the throttle body goes, but there's just too much smoke too close to it. So we're going to be somewhere up here plugged off, you know, up here higher up. So we'll see if we see any smoke from down there again. Just letting it cool down a second so I can put some more baby oil in it. All right. That smell, it gets you. All right, what I did is I put the snorkel back on, and then I put the bladder inside of it, pumped it up, and then I just got a pair of line clamps over the hose. You could smoke test them this way too. You could blow it in through this hose. It will get past the throttle plate, but you know, this is pretty much anywhere you could get into the vacuum. This way we're at least eliminating a lot of things. That hose, the power booster, I mean, that's a good way to go into that hose there, because that, even that hose too, that's one that's always in question because it's long and it goes the whole way down there. Thought I saw a little coming off of it, but just too much leaking around the sandwich bag, guys. Let me get a little bit of steam building and then we'll see what it does now. Alright guys, I got the smoke on until it's coming out the other side. And then what I'm going to do is clamp that off. There's a light coming on. Is that still from this? That smoke clear and then take another look back here. Okay, that might have just been some residual. What I'm interested in is we shouldn't see any down here now. Right there's where I thought I was seeing it, and I always just keep changing my angles because it seems like sometimes you're watching something and you don't see anything and you just change your angle and it's like boom, the light's right. Stuff to make sure I'm still blowing smoke too. Yeah, we're definitely pressurized. I could look along that runner with a bore scope or something, but wait. You gotta make sure things you see aren't residual just from pulling that out a minute ago. Look around, but this is actually I thought that was on the wire before they're on the hose, when it just been the dust from hitting it. I definitely don't see no. I'm looking down at the base of the throttle body. I don't see nothing, guys. don't see nothing under this runner. Maybe the phone could get a better look than I actually can. Take another look underneath it. See, underneath I could see the base of the intake, and I don't see nothing coming out of there. Just checking around this plug before, around here, and here's where I thought I was seeing smoke coming out. And there's nothing there. Holds pretty good. I mean, you wouldn't think limp mode. I mean, look at there. Look where Dodge put these throttle bodies. I mean, you got 170,000 miles on them. Well, sad engine mount right there. Things cracked the whole way through. Yeah. Looks like something out to the Rock Auto order. Alright guys, I'm going to shut that down, cool it down. Tell me what you think. Anything I could have did different? Anything you would have did different? Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. You can see even after all that, there's no shortage of smoke. We weren't running out of smoke or anything like that. We were pressurized the whole time. So, sadly, didn't find nothing under there. But, well, it's good in a way and it's bad in a way. So when you have somebody got something like that going on with limp mode, you want to find something that's 100% definitive. I mean, it was sometime last year it happened to him, and I did put an intake gasket on this, and you know, I smoke tested it after that, and it held it just like it's holding it now. The only place it was coming off, because I did go through the vacuum booster, it was coming out of the rocker cover. Going through this way, I guess we're not getting the whole way around to come to fill it up, because it's still empty. See any of that smoke coming out that way. I know when I did go that way, it pressurized the valve pan cover too, and then you could just see the smoke coming out from around there. So it's still pumping out. The smoke you see is just coming out of still out of the hose. I got it disconnected, put it down, got the exhaust fan on, trying to get rid of the baby oil smell. But we can move on. Good, just do a quick test the throttle body, and probably test the map sensor too, just for the powers, grounds. See what we got. Make sure we ain't got no dropouts, and we're gonna make a call. Hey, after fixing these wires, you know, I put the I don't know if I kept it, but there was on the map sensor, the gasket was very square and it was a little bit loose in there. Put a new gasket on it. I can't find it now, but you know, did everything you can. Is this pointing to it? I wish there was another code to accompany it, but we're at the end of the factory service after we do visual, and that's about the best visual we could do. You know what's causing the limp mode? It's saying the factory data is actually saying to this out to the PCM, and if you get good readings, replace the PCM. It's you know, that's ridiculous. But yeah, very well could be the case, but we ain't gonna let it go down like that. All right, guys, I'll be back. Set up. I'm gonna put this away and set up for checking this. Probably use the scope on them. I mean, somebody shared a link with Scanner Danner. I follow his. I've been a member of his premium section for a couple of years now. I mean, that's amazing. That's what makes you want to get into doing some of these tests. But when you look at the equipment he uses, I don't work in a garage to use them enough. So we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to follow along with you, Paul, but we can't afford the P code. That's the bottom line. But we still want to follow along with you, and that's what we're going to do next. All right, guys, I'll be back. like I say, you find any good tools, shout them out on like Amazon or anywhere, even Harbor Freight tools that you were cheap and you took a chance on and it was a success or a failure, you know, warn other people. But I got this, I've had it at least 2 years, and it was under $100 at the time. It's actually a turbo boost. It goes a little bit higher pressure if you want to see where your boost's going, but honestly, I've never used it on the turbo. It's mainly evaps and intakes like that, but I mean, it's nice that you can do that. Most of the turbos I get, they're oil starved, so it's, you know, they're cooked. But it's so heavy. It's the blue piece. It's solid billet aluminum. I mean, this thing, if I had air and shipping scale up here, I'd put it on. I mean, I know that's at least 4 pounds, maybe 5. Oil filled gauge. I mean, looks like you could replace the wick. And where I have that leak, it's right where them wires are. I tightened the nut up a little bit, but this does get so hot. It's so efficient that anything other, I think it's a silicone washer on both sides now. I'm thinking maybe a piece of header tape on both sides or something, break clean the inside of it or something, but it just gets too hot. Anything silicone or rubber, it's gonna, you know, go through. But I mean, this was a very good kit. You got a decent amount. Altogether, I mean, at least 20 times, you know, within a couple either way. But you got nice aluminum. You got, you know, everything you need. A couple adapters. Another one of these switches, actually, you know, replacement one. So maybe whenever I do put the header tape on, just put a new one in. But and one thing I've been noticing, like with these, and anything that's coming from like different brands, like that transducer I got, if it's Chinese brands and you're not sticking with the same, there's got to be a way. There's one YouTube channel out there. It's I think it's Kentucky Home Garage. This guy got a fuel pressure gauge. I mean, he'd hook up a Pico to this and tell you how much, you know, boost pressure you're getting with just the adapters. I don't know how many different adapters there are, but there's got to be a way to keep everything standard. The compression hoses, I mean, it's hit or miss. You know, they work from one set and they don't on the other. I got to standardize. He has a fuel pressure gauge from hell. I mean, even on a non-return fuel line, he could put a fuel pressure regulator on it and hook it up to a scope. I mean, it's just, you got to invest and find all them parts, find what threads you got. I've ordered some things from Rocky that I'm gonna go with whatever threads they got. I can't remember what it is. One end's the M14, but you know, I'm gonna try to stick with something that you could just keep using over and over and repeat itself. You know, it's because everything is standard, everything's replaceable. It came with a pressure valve too that it blew out the first time. You know, learning curve and everything. I turned it up a little bit too high and it popped the pressure valve. But I just got a bolt in it now. I figure I got that regulator, and the regulator was on a little hot dog tank. I'm not pushing much. I never even made it up to half of the blue. You know, it's the longer you're going to take, the less heat or the less pressure. You just use low pressure, let it get hot. I mean, this thing gets really hot. But all right, guys, you know, not a plug or nothing, just sharing on good tip. I mean, good tool. It's treated me good. I'm happy with it. All right, guys, I'm on HScoped. I'm using HS512. I was going to just use a U-scope, but there's 2 throttle position signals. It's actually interesting. I would wish I had more time right now with this, but I have a ministry vehicle to check the brakes on. They just dropped off, but I do want to get the signals with the scope. Right now I'm on the 5-volt reference. I'm on the battery ground, well, the battery stud, and then going into that pink and yellow wire. So that checks out. Wish I could unplug it and load test it, but I'm not going to mess with that JB weld at the time. I'm lucky I could get the back probe in. I did try to find the ground. I'm going to try that now. I'm going to move it until I find the ground and then actually test the throttle position sensor 1 and 2 with the actual sensor ground instead of the battery ground. But I think that's a pretty easy way of finding it is finding the 5-volt reference and then taking your ground and then back probe until you find it. All right, I'll be back whenever I do. Okay, part of the problem is that my view in that reach without being able to unplug that and then like identify the wire by the color. But I kept the positive of the 5-volt reference plugged in, and then I probed from behind until I found, you know, the same exact voltage. So that tells me that that's I'm on the signal ground instead of being on a battery post. So now I could use that ground and then move to one of the other terminals, because whenever I was in the other terminal, I'd get a reading like 4 volts, and then I got a reading of like 2 volts. So that's actually the signal wire. Well, I believe it's the signal wire because it's not exactly 5 volts. We're looking for just a ground. So it should be the exact same 5 volt that I found on the positive. So now I'm going to move on and back probe one of the others using that as a ground. Now, using that same sensor ground, I left that in place, and then I moved the red lead, and then I found this. This is one of the first voltages I was finding. This wasn't the sensor ground because it wasn't 5 volts. This is what I was finding. So I believe this is a signal. So now going off of the signal, ground with the signal, you know, feed, we're going to see what's happening. But I definitely want to get out of the, I mean, I could stay in data logger, but I mean, that's not what really, you know, here for. You know, it's fine turning on the scope, and this is what you want to get to use like it's your second nature. And it's, wish I had more time to just do the amperage to current. Who knows, one of these days still might. It's on 32 volt, I don't need that much. 8.1. Okay, channel 2, I'll just shut off. And that's on AC there. Okay, now it's on the oscilloscope mode. I don't know if I could work this one this way. And this isn't the way to do it with your fingers like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up the tripod, and then I'm going to zoom the camera in so I can see both from inside. All right, guys, I'll be back. I'm going to switch to the automotive module too, I believe. I switched over on to the screen recorder just because of the glare. But now I tried getting in the car and moving the throttle pedal with my foot, and it doesn't unless it's running. It's not moving the motor. So the best I could do right now is move it by hand, like just move the throttle plate like that. I can make the screen a little bit bigger too. I'm sure that's just a little bit of recoil there. I'm not sure how you get back to the moving pattern. It's probably something very simple. But oh, there I am. I'm back here. I'm just on much larger. So I love just like that pinch to zoom, but and on that video, Danner said just snap it. This thing, if it got a glitch, it'll find it slant, you know, moving it pretty hard. So that seems pretty good. Now, I'm going to try to leave that back probe in there and find the other signal and see what, if both channels, what it looks like. All right, guys, I'll be back. I don't know, it's a delicate ecosystem down there, but I did find the other signal, and these are Handtech probe leads. These are stackable, so what I got to do is carefully remove the signal ground wire and use this, and then stack this, put them both on same signal ground, and then use 2 channels on the scope and see if we could see them both at the same time. From what I saw real quick on that channel, I mean, And I'm going back thinking maybe it doesn't need a throttle body, but who knows? We'll see what we see. That's what it's all about. I don't know. It's a delicate ecosystem down there, but I did find the other signal, and these are Handtech probe leads. These are stackable, so what I got to do is carefully remove the signal ground wire and use this, and then stack this, put them both on same signal ground, and then use 2 channels on the scope and see if we could see them both at the same time. From what I saw real quick on that channel, I mean, I'm going back thinking maybe it doesn't need a throttle body, but who knows? We'll see what we see. That's what it's all about. All right, I was able to switch over the ground. Get flashlight in the eye. I got the ground double stacked going into the sensor ground, and then I got sensor A and sensor B. And because I can't actually do it with the throttle, I got a toothbrush. I'm going to use just push the throttle in. Okay, this is just a straight up oscilloscope. You could get a signal on that pretty easy, but this isn't the automotive module. I'm going to switch over to the screen recording, and then I'll show you the difference real quick. Guys, like I was saying, this is just the oscilloscope. This isn't the automotive module. And you could stop it, like you could set a trigger and you could record one event, but this isn't the main part that we get it, but it's good to see, make sure you are getting signals. Once you're getting signals and you're on something, see what I mean? That yellow one, he don't look quite right. But whenever in the automotive module, we could record all this, because right now I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I've seen some crap in there. I just want to make sure it isn't the connection. I'm probed in there pretty good, or as good as I can be, put it that way. Now when you switch to the automotive module, you have to hit record for it to start, but you don't see nothing. Like when I move the throttle, there's no signal. You have to hit record in the automotive module. And then you see your live signals, what you actually have. You can see on one, we have 1.28, and on one we have 4.11. And then these, whenever you actually move the plate, it'll move them live. But you're still not recording. You could go up to 12 minutes on this if you had to, but whenever you start, and then I'll make the screen bigger. Already see what's wrong with that picture. I'm not touching it. I don't know if you could hear the clicking in it. You know what? They're probably going to ban this video because I got the radio playing. That sucks. Alright guys, I didn't realize that I just did this once and I had music playing in the background. I know they frown upon that crap, so I'm going to go back over. I have both channels hooked up, A and B, or channel 1 and channel 2. And this is the automotive module. The difference with, I was explaining that this is just the oscilloscope. You could set a trigger on it. You could do many things in this module, but you're not recording a lot of data. You're only recording the screen, whatever you have the time set for. But it's always good to start, on that one to make sure you're getting good signals. But you do have to press play. You can see I'm getting, it's telling you up top your voltage 1.28 and 4.11, and they're moving with it. See, I already don't like the look of that channel. But this is just the oscilloscope mode. You can make the screen bigger, and you know, you could stop the recording anytime you want. But see, even bumping that, the throttle plate, that yellow trace. What I'm going to do is go to automotive module. And here, whenever you're on the automotive module, whenever you do move the throttle, nothing happens. After you set, you know, what you want is what I wanted on the oscilloscope. I was happy with that. I want to record that. So now I go to the automotive module, and you won't see the voltage changing until you hit record. And then see, there's your voltage that you had on the oscilloscope mode, the 411 and the 128. And then whenever you move the throttle plate, they'll actually move too over on the side. Then whenever you want to record, it's up to 12 minutes, 48 seconds. But whenever you hit start, it'll actually start the recording. And then you can make a full screen. See, that to me, something fell off there. It's okay, there we go. It's very crammed in beams. I can't probe these. And it appears I lost one. What happens to the ground? Because only the ones responding now. Grab it again. Back over to it's so hard to. I did have it. It didn't look like a very good connection. I wouldn't trusted that without reinforcing it. Let me see if I could get it connected again. Okay guys, so make sure we're getting an accurate, or close as I can anyways, reading. I'm going to keep the one back probe pushed in with my finger while I move the throttle plate with my thumb. I mean, it's very crammed in there, as you can see, but it should work. I was getting a good signal, and I just started the recording, but I'm in the automotive module. Gonna hit record. My voltages are the same. Hit start recording, and then move to a bigger screen. The yellow trace was a very bad signal before, and that's it. It's just where it's at and the way I have to plug into it. Thank God this isn't one of them finger munching throttle bodies. See, I'm losing, but there's one that's making good contact. And then whenever I snap it with my fingers, I'm watching, I could make it a little bit bigger. Oh, I lost where we're at there. On the video, Dan was saying slam it, so. Could see what there's wide open. I'm not sure if that's normal, but I'm doing that with my fingers. There's wide open again. I was probably bumping the wire in the one image, but there's rocking it mostly open, and like I'd be in the upper 80% of the throttle right there. Right where if this was a finger muncher, you'd hear me screaming. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to go back stop it. Then I'm going to save it. Save it as Joe's one. Saving the file, and then what's nice, you could share that, you could save it, you could go back in your, and there's just so much you could zoom, you could see these were bouncing it. That's what I believe, like these yellow dip outs, the small ones, that's just small fluctuation. You could actually hit the volume up, or have like a ring that you hit and you could leave a flag. Like if you seen something like this and you remembered you bumped, you know, or you had a hard time holding it in there, I think what you could zoom in on these snaps. I mean, I think we're having that's more resolution than, it's still impressive resolution for the size that you could. You know, you could look at it any way you want. Put the rollers in, you could do it everything, but like I said, we're looking for dropouts. I don't know, see, that's when I know I was bumping the wire right there. But these, if you could catch them happening for no reason whenever you're not in there, but I don't know, I don't see any. I've seen on videos what they look like when they do drop out, and it's a lot faster. It's like a dry stick pulled the whole way to ground, then right back up. But all right, he needs a little bit more work, and I'd be worried about the throttle body right now. I'd tell him get this thing inspected. I did find a bad motor mount. I'm going to put the camera on it so you can see it whenever I back out of here, but he's going to need a little bit of work like that. And for now, I'll take it out of limp mode, see if it goes back in, see if it was the wiring. You know, the soft body's worn out, but is it keeping it in limp mode? You know, I'd rather have a throttle body code than go and find something that's dropping out. But it would be interesting, the motor on them. I know, you know, like actuator motors, they eat teeth, they break. And these Dodges, I mean, they even kill the battery sometimes. You hear them actuators all night. It's trying to close an actuator. Kills your battery. Their teeth are just junk. 170,000 miles, you'd think, maybe. But, you know, more worried about getting them safe and on the road. And that engine mount, I think you'll agree, is more, you know, needs more serious attention than the throttle body. All right, guys, I got another ministry van to pull in, check the brakes on, but that was fun. I mean, you learn something every time. I mean, you hope for a good condition, but, you know, whoever thought JB welded in plugged the back probe, but hey, it works. Send it. All right, guys, adios. It's kind of a cool thing. This box has been working out really good, keeping some of the wheels calm, and you got a little scope right there, voltmeter leads. And it's kind of good to have different brand things, and I usually go to these for the scope of the Martin Lauren at 3 meters. Keeps me over here on the bench, but today it was, you know, 3 meter hand tech because they were stackable. I'm sure I have other adapters that would have let me stack at ground, but these are a little bit more rigid. These are silicone. I mean, these are the cat's ass. I mean, they're like using fluke leads. I love these things. A little bit more quality, but sometimes it's something simple. It's good to have a lot of things in your box. I keep the main things in there, and then, you know, tons of probes. I mean, I could hook up to just about anything, but, you know, usually you're going after the same things. I don't keep the amp clamps in the cart, but, you know, they're close. All right, guys, I'll show you the engine mounts and I'll be at. All right, guys, have a good day. Adios. This is what ate through that harness in the repair. You could see how dark that's where I was looking for an air leak in this. But the way it was like this. It was down like that. On the bottom, if you twist the hose whenever you tighten the clamp, twist it out the opposite direction. Twist it out like that when you tighten it. It stays away like that. At least you have some finger room in there. Even more after I tighten it, but Yeah, better off than rubbing. I mean, this piece of rubber wore through 2 wires. But there's the repair on that, you know. At least next time I know I look at it for him this much, you know, we ain't got to worry about nothing yet. But yeah, good learning experience. Enjoyable day. All right, guys. Had the battery disconnected, so computer reset the fuel trims. But this is what we're looking at. I just picked out a couple of the main ones, so we only have one screen really to look at. This is a 2.7, I believe, and it's pulling 3.15 grams at idles. That's fairly close. I'm not sure. I'm not hooked up on nothing to that. This is just a little bit of live data I'm sharing. If anybody's interested, you know something that they see right away that screams something. You know, the short term, I mean, it's always countering. The long term's actually come down since starting. I believe I put the RPMs on. This right here, hold as steady as I can. That's around 1500. There's 2 grand right there. Both go negative for a little bit. So we got 3. As we come back down to idle. Short term minus the long term 0 almost. But still learning, but that's when you accelerate. It sure is taking a lot of fuel away until you give it more beans, and here's a snap. Alright guys, I'm going to pull it out and let you see the engine mount, and then I got to pull in this fan and check its brakes. Thanks for watching, guys. Adios. Have a great day. Alright guys, I got it all centered on. I'm going to just show you what the engine mount's doing with it. I can't really see from the inside of the car, but I mean, I can kind of tell from the looks of it. Alright, it'll be seeing you. This one's the one I had to pull in between that 200. I had to take a look at it. It's one of the ministry vehicles. I work on a ton of caravans. Anybody ever needs, you know, a good look at where something goes or a good voltage measurement on something, I have one. And there's a bunch of them that the ministry has. A neighbor has them. I used to work for Dodge in the day. You know, there was plenty. But it was just it had a big ding to it, and you know, they get worried, and that's what I tell them. The sooner they get it to me after they hear something start squeaking, get it out here. But nothing there, just the heat shield. Alright guys, getting back on the road. I figured throw it in on the end because I didn't want you to think I was copping out on that 200 and not doing the amperage. I really did have to get this in and have a look at it. Alright guys, peace.